The Heaths are on their way. I used to have to be in a car with the guy that I was taking into the club to get They'll be here any minute now. Anyways, what the purpose of this is, first was to introduce me as a candidate for the United States Senate. I'm going to talk a little bit about. Yay! You know, I always get a nice little clap when I say that, and then I say, and I'm running against Harry Reid. Yeah! And believe me, I don't take that personally. It's great. But, you know, we start off. I'm going to talk a little bit about my campaign, why I'm running. I'll give you a bunch of stuff for you, so I'll take any questions you have. But then afterwards, the youth will be here, and Jayla's parents, Sarah Paley's parents, Chuck Heath and his son, and Sally, his mother. You know what I love about them, and you'll see them when they come here. They are just down-to-earth, genuine people. They've been forced into the spotlight with their daughter's success, but they are really good people. I'll let them show that themselves. Well, let me talk to you first about why I'm running. I'm running for the United States Senate, and I'm running because I really am concerned with the direction that Harry Reid is taking our country, along with the rest of the Democrat establishment. Harry Reid, who's been in Washington D.C. now for 24 years, he's lost touch with Nevada. Harry Reid lives in a penthouse suite in the Ritz-Carlton, and we have hundreds of thousands of people here in Nevada losing their homes. Harry Reid is boasting how he's going to raise $25 million so he can keep his job. Isn't that great? He wants to keep his job. He's going to raise $25 million. Well, we got hundreds of thousands of people here in Nevada losing their jobs. They don't know where they're going to put money on the table. And the sad fact is, the people who do have a job and they have the money, what's our dollar going to be worth after Harry Reid's and Nancy Pelosi's policies have taken effect? We have bankrupted our country. We have mortgaged our country with all of this incredible deficit spending. We spent $1 trillion on Tark, $800 billion on a stimulus package. We spent $25 billion to bail out the auto industry, which went bankrupt anyways, and we've ignored everything that's happened here in the state. So all of us that have jobs and we have a paycheck coming in, the dollar is going to be worth much less under these principles here. And we need to make a change, and we need someone who is committed to running this race. And from the day I won that election, that lawsuit, I won a defamation lawsuit in July that allowed me. You know what's nice for you that know me, you know what I went through with that. I ran 2 races, and my wife and I, our first race was the most amazing race we ever had. We walked door to door 20 straight weeks. We took Sundays off, and we did not miss a day except for 2 days it rained. And 1 day it was we had a fundraiser. But we walked every single day. We went to every single home.
I pushed a stroller and I was pregnant with twins.
It's really an amazing story. And we were in a district that started off 11.5% more Democrats. By election day, it went to 18.5%. And when the polls came out the week before early voting, I was beating them in every race. So then he came out with all these outlandish statements saying I was involved in all this crazy stuff. Let me get into it. And he was able to win with that. And you know, my wife and I always say, God, this is amazing. I mean, is this how politics goes? Say the worst you can about somebody. Don't work hard. He was in San Diego on the beach and boasted about it while we were walking door to door, and she was pushing the stroller, and he ended up being rewarded with a victory. And you start thinking to yourself, you know, life just isn't right. But things come around. If you have enough faith and you believe in things come around. 5 years it took me to sue this guy. Fortunately enough, he was as arrogant after the election as he was during the election, and he made statements that allowed me to win that lawsuit. I mean, I was the first person to win a public official to win a defamation lawsuit in the history of Nevada, and I didn't do it just because of myself, but because this guy was such a jerk. But you know, once I won that case, and this is what I want to express to you, because I think this is very important. Whoever runs against Harry Reid needs to be committed. This has to be the most important thing for them. When I won that lawsuit, I had dreamt for 2 to 3 years to run against Reid. See, all those allegations that were made against me, it was a creation of Harry Reid's opposition research that he had done. And I knew it, I wanted to run against him, and once I won that lawsuit, I was committed. I got in the race, and I said, listen, I'm going to run against him, I don't care what happens. we talked about this. We didn't know if I was going to raise 2 dimes to run. I had no idea if anybody was going to be supportive of me. It was really a crapshoot. And for whatever reason, whether it's a good Lord, good fortune, whatever you want to say, things have fallen in place, and our campaign has taken off. We've signed up over 1,200 people on our website that have come in and volunteered for us. We have over 7,000 people that have donated to our campaign, an average of $18.75. These are things I never dreamed about when we got started, but what they've done is they've seen somebody who, one, is committed to run against me, 2, has an opportunity to beat them. Fortunately, I have been raised, and I will take advantage of what my mother and father have done. They've worked hard, they've created a good name within the state, and I certainly I want to take advantage of that, just like Barry Reed will take advantage of his $25 million from lobbyists. I'm going to take advantage of it. I got a great shot of beating this guy. People are coming in to support me now, and our campaign has taken off. And just the fact that we're here in standing room only crowd with all you people showing up, I really am just very honored on it. In a normal situation, a person like myself would not have a chance to win this race. But because of today's environment, I have a chance. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. My wife and I will work harder than we've worked in any of the races. And if you know us, you know how hard we're working. We're committed to win this. We're going to put in whatever money we can put in to win the race. And we're going to slug fist on fist with Reed. When he says something about us, he's going to have a fist in his mouth and he's going to be arguing.
That's what you have to do.
And I am totally confident when this in November, we're going to win this race. And I'm going to ask you for your support, and I need your support. It's funny, I'm going to give you this story too. I had no prepared speech when I got here, so I hope you guys all understand. But when I first decided I was going to run here, I had to have won the lawsuit, but I didn't have a chance to tell my mother before that I was going to do this. So I went to California to pick my dad up from the hospital. She was driving down, and she heard on the news. She wouldn't speak to me. It took a week for her to speak to me. And it wasn't because she's a Democrat and didn't want me to run because of the party, which she didn't want me to lose again. And I said, after a week, she sat me down. She said, "Danny, why would you do this? Why would you talk to me? You can't beat me. He's got all this money in. Why would you do this?" I said, "Mom, you just got to trust me." I said, "I don't want to hear all that." This is what I said. Don't tell me all this negative stuff. I heard enough of it. I'm already hearing all the negative stuff. I believe we're going to get it done. We're going to do it. Well, a week later, she meets with me. She says, "You know, Danny, I got a lot of people out here that are Democrats that don't like me very much."
A whole bunch of them.
And then 2 weeks later, she says, "God, Dan, I can't believe this. I got so many people going to vote for you. I can't believe this. It's amazing." 3 weeks later, she says, "Dan, you just got to win the primary. If you can win the primary, you're going to be great." And that's the sentiment we have here. Fortunately, we're running against a guy that just keeps shooting himself in the foot. And you know, it's one of 2 things. He's having some health issues, and if he is, I feel sorry for him, but he's doing it. Or 2, he's the most arrogant individual around that just doesn't care about what he says. Now, we'll talk about that for a second. There's 4 things in the last 6 months he said that it just blows you away when you're thinking you're running for re-election. He says that he can't wait till the summer ends so the smelling tourists from Washington, D.C. leave. He doesn't have to smell them anymore. Now, we're from Nevada. I mean, how do you want to talk about smelling tourists? I mean, that's our lifeblood. He makes a statement that all these people that are arguing against a health care plan, they're evil mongers. You know, it's not that, you know, we're going to have a public discourse and disagree and figure out a good. If you argue against Harry Reid, you're an evil monger. As all of you know, what the Review Journal's done, he tells the publisher of the Review Journal that he hopes the newspaper goes bankrupt because they don't have the same ideology that he does. Well, just today in the newspaper, one that affronts me more than anything, because, you know, my brother-in-law is a doctor, and I know how difficult it is for doctors now. And my father, who had a serious operation, that if he didn't have the best treatment, he wouldn't have made it to the past year. Did you read the article today in the paper? Here he's quoted as saying, "Those doctors have got to quit whining about our health care reform. You got to quit whining." I mean, these are the people that outside of the military are probably the most important profession we have in society. They're the ones that take care of our health. They're the ones that are going to make us better in life and live longer. And he just doesn't understand. And I certainly think being a partisan politician, self-centered, do what's best for the politician is more important to be the doctor who serves the rest of the community. And I feel the doctor is not the one that is there to treat the rest. And fortunately, because of the statements he's made, he keeps turning people off. Because of policies he's proposed, he keeps turning people off. And because of that, we have a golden opportunity. We have a window, the door's open, and the question is, what are we going to do with this door? If we don't come together as a party, and this is what I'm going to close with this, if we don't come together as a party, we're going to let that door shut, and we're going to let everybody go back to office and run for the next 6 years. But if we unite as a party, we unite as a state, and we say we're tired of this partisan politics, people that put their party and their power that they want to have for themselves over the rest of Nevada. So if we say we want to get rid of those people, we come together no matter what our differences. Because as a party, we all have differences. If we put that aside for common purpose, we'll be if we put those things aside and get behind my campaign, I will promise you, we're going to be there. We'll put him in retirement. It doesn't matter how much money he has. He's going to go back to Searchlight where he belongs. I'm going to finish. This is my little story that my campaign. This guy, we were in Tennessee, and I'm getting real nervous to speak at this group. And I'm going over my speech, and the guy says, "Hey, you got to start with a joke." So this is my joke. I hope you guys like it. You know that old.
Tell you it's going to be.
I didn't start with this. Anyways, this guy, I tell you, because it's so great because he did it in about 15 seconds. But anyways, you know the saying, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Well, it's not always the truth. We have a hairy problem that's in Washington, D.C., and it originated here in Las Vegas. It's my job, with your help, to put that hairy problem back in Las Vegas where it belongs and to keep it there. I hope you'll come out and support me. Go to my website, sign up to volunteer. If you have the financial ability to contribute, we sure appreciate that. If you don't, you understand. Volunteers, grassroots, that's what it's going to take to win. And I thank you again for being here, and I will take any questions you guys have. Okay? I'll take some questions, and then we have the Heath here too, and I'll introduce them.
I will campaign for you day and night. I retire. when I hear Harry read my property, but I will even have to go to do. I really I started campaign 3 weeks ago. I got to sign about the people were like this.
Are you the one who made the sign?
Yeah.
I saw that. Oh, good.
And you know what? They go like this. And then I remember I got the sign.
Yeah.
A lot of people say, "Oh, good job, good job."
We'll have to show Danny after. It's fantastic.
That's why I had the bumper stickers that I'm on. But I was going to pick you days like I wouldn't go
Thank you. And that's really what you need. We're not going to have the money to spend against me, but we can have the grassroots.
No, money don't select the candidate. It's the people who select the candidate. You can have people don't like the guys.
Yes. Yes. What happened yesterday?
Mine, just leave them. Thanks. Oh, you can not lay it over, so it's going to fall over again. It's probably going to fall over.
Sue wanted to run, I guess. Sue, I guess, is wanted to run. She made that decision. I love the race. I think we're going to have a nice campaign. What I stand for, what she stands for, they're going to vote for me. I feel very confident about this race. The only thing I think is the party chair should be uniting the party right now for the primaries and divide the party. That's the only thing I say. But I look forward to the campaign, and I'm very confident, Sue or anybody else, once you get our message out, we talk about what we're going to do, and the chances I have, I'll be successful. I mean, look at the polls that have come out. Could you ever imagine this? I mean, I'm not an elected official. I'm used to reading every single poll. I mean, one, it tells you that you know what to do. What was more telling than that Review Journal poll that came out is that not only was I beat every one of my primary opponents, including Sue, by 19%. But I was actually being Dean Heller by 6% that vote. And believe me, I love Dean. Dean's a great representative. But what that tells you is the people in Nevada, they don't want these long-term politicians right now. They want somebody new, some fresh blood, somebody's going to come in and represent the people of the state of Nevada. And that's what I will do, not consume the people or anybody else who's been tied to the party for so long. I have one other question, and then I want to introduce Heath, and I'll stay up here and I'll take some questions, but we have one other one.
I got a question. You're coming here with the appearance of Haley. So
Yes.
Does that really mean what Danny Kennedy is?
Well,
Is that how you describe yourself? Neighborhood in Sweden, neighborhood in Washington? Tell us what to do like here. So we're going to have Liberty Street.
I can tell you what to do like Harry Reid. Harry Reid doesn't tell you what to do. Harry Reid orders you to tell you how to live. I'm going to go back to one. I mean, I got a lot of stuff on my website. I've got the issues I've read on, how it represents you. We can talk for 15 to 20 minutes, and I'll stay here later. I have it's actually the Heath family, which is Sarah Payne's parents and brother, which are here because there's a mutual appreciation for what he's doing. A year ago, when Sarah was nominated as vice president candidate, my wife and I were in a national convention, and people that understand how the party was at that time, it was very depressed. We had felt coming into that nomination that there was no motion, we could have a tough time. But Sarah came before the party on the national television audience. She gave a speech that for me, and not to say maybe just her, she has more experience in public office, but to perform like she performed, I had a tremendous amount of respect for her. And then right after that, there were stories upon stories how they had hundreds of investigators and officers in Alaska trying to dig up dirt on her. Now my dad, who has had people trying for years to dig up dirt on him and write bad things about him, he really related with me. He's a non-political person, but he said, you know, anybody who they're going to try to dig up dirt and go after, I got to respect her and I respect what they did. And then the other reason why my dad likes her is that my dad, if you know his coaching career, he used to win with junior college transfers, players that came from junior college to 4-year. Sarah Palin went to junior college before she went to 4-year. So my dad said she'd be the first Jew coach transfer to ever make it. The reason why the Palins are here is we met them when I was with my dad. Actually, they were campaigning for Sarah, and my dad and I came up to the office to offer us support. And they met us, and I think we made a good impression. I'll let them tell you the story. And they're here to support me. Now, I think that's a very good thing. It doesn't mean that they're going to dictate how my campaign is or what my campaign is about, but they're somebody that can talk to you and tell you what they think about me like other people. I will be here, you can talk to me personally and get to know me better, but I think the time now is for them to come up and have an opportunity to speak.
I was at the national convention as well, and I remember that moment when she came out on stage and began to speak, and I remember the electricity. All of a sudden, everybody in Wisconsin sleeping in the seats became alive. And I was wondering, I see your family's here with you. Is there any chance that she might be campaigning or saying a few good words about you in the future?
I'll let them speak to that. She's writing a book right now, which I just heard today. She's been doing it for 20 hours.
Is she here?
But, you know, the great thing about that, I've been to 3 Final Fours, and I don't know if you've been to the Final Four, you understand. The Final Fours in basketball is like the epitome of college sports. And I told my dad coming out of the Republican convention, I've never left a place more electrified, more generated, more enthusiastic than that Republican convention after Sarah Tark. Now we're putting all of these Final Fours in my high school before. She was phenomenal. This is Chuck Heath Sr., Chuck Heath Jr., and Sally. I'll let them talk.
Wasilla, Alaska. I'm a very, very proud father of Sarah. You know, we wanted to bring Sarah down here with us, but she's a very, very, very busy lady, let me tell you. She's working like 20 hours a day on her book. I see your book is already a #1 bestseller. I think they're printing 1.5 million copies on the first edition, and they've already sold 1.7 million. That tells you something. You know, maybe she couldn't be here. That kind of makes Chuck and I JV speakers, you know, B squad speakers. But
I want to comment on something that Danny said about her speech at the Republican National Convention. When she got up to give her speech, I was a little nervous, and I said to Sally, I said, "Hey, I am nervous." She said, "Don't worry, she's never let us down before." She started out with a little flaw that I caught, and I asked her later, she got in a good flow, a good rhythm. I asked her later, "What's going on? What happened?" She said, "My teleprompter was not working." She winged that whole speech. And look at our anointed one now. Our anointed one now, he can't speak without that teleprompter. I became fans of the Tarkanians years ago when Jerry was chomping on that towel. You know, I should have brought stock in that towel company. I remember what he used to do. When we came to Nevada last year, I ran into the Tarkanians, and they said, both of them said, it took a lot for us to turn off ESPN and go to Fox News so we could listen to Sarah. I agree. They also said, we're going to send Sarah and Chuck Jr. a basketball, signed basketball. I said, yeah. We got home, there were 2 signed basketballs there.
All right.
The one basketball for Sarah was probably displayed in her office in Juneau. Today is in the living room as is Chuck's. You know, I had the privilege of coaching Sarah in several sports. She was a workaholic then, just like she is now. I taught her how to do a lot of things. I taught her how to hunt, fish, a lot of the outdoor things. I failed and I taught her how to field dress animals, field dress roots, but I forgot one thing. And this is what I want to teach and coach Danny to do when I'm down here. I want to teach Danny how to field dress a donkey. With that, I'm going to turn this over to Chuck Jr. here. He feels like I do about Harry Reid. He does not like Harry Reid in Alaska. He has been cruel to Alaska, trying to take our guns away. I eat, therefore I hunt, and Harry Reid is trying to keep us from hunting in Alaska. He's locked up a lot of our resources, a lot of our drilling, a lot of our timber, a lot of our fishing. So we're with you guys. We want to get rid of Harry Reid. With that, I'll give you Chuck Jr.
Well, thank you, and it's great to be here. And I'm not much of a speech maker. Sarah got that. Man, you guys don't like hearing me. That is probably, well, I was going to say it's the biggest reason that we came down here, but it isn't really the main reason. The main reason is that I was fortunate to be able to get pretty close to Danny over the past year. You know, meeting him here during the original campaign and keeping in contact with him since then. Last spring. Stay there. Last spring, Danny called me. And he said, I don't even remember what the message was, Danny, but you said, I really need you to give something to Sarah. I want her opinion on something. I'm like, well, why don't you just tell her yourself? And I handed the phone over to Sarah, and I think Danny was a little shocked. Wow. She's really hard to
I'm going to tell that story. This is actually a great story. I had called, and I don't know why I called either, but I'm talking to him about something. He said, can you tell Sarah this? And he goes, well, here she is. She's right here now. So he hands her phone over to her, and I'm actually sitting on the couch watching a football and baseball game or something, maybe basketball. And my wife is straight up, and I'm sitting there like and she spoke to me for about 30 minutes, and then when she gets done, she says, you know, it's my daughter's graduation. We have all the media people here now. I'm sorry I got to leave quick and I can't talk longer. I'm thinking to myself, she just spent 30 minutes with me, so all the media people here, and it's about his graduation. I mean, what a nice person that is that would go ahead and do that. But anyway.
No, Danny, I was folding clothes, and Danny he's talking to Chuck, and he's sitting there lounging. You know, it's like, oh yeah, how's it going, Chuck? Oh. Hi. And I was like, who is he talking to? His eyes got big as silver dollars. So I was like, I was gonna listen like this. It's her. Yeah. So that was pretty neat. Yeah. Not that you're not neat. But
It's okay. I've heard that before. Well, anyway, when I was here earlier, before that conversation, and especially traveling through northern Nevada, I spent probably 2 or 3 weeks up in Reno, Elko, Carson City, Gardnerville, other areas up there, and I kept hearing the Harry Reid comments, you know, everywhere I went. And my question in my head was, why is he in office? Why is he continually re-elected? If I've heard nothing but negative everywhere I go. Well, I don't know. You know, my theory is that maybe it's in the back of a lot of people's mind. It's that maybe seniority in the Senate has some. You know, they're afraid to lose the seniority, so you know we're going to go with the status quo and keep bringing him back over and over again. But it's real evident to me, and I'm sure my family too, that we infuse some new energy into an election, and you get some new blood like Danny into an office, and somebody that has good conservative values that you know is going to work his rear end off for you, and not the DC Beltway that Reid seems to be caught up in right now. I mean, from an outsider, it seems pretty obvious that he isn't working for his constituents here in Nevada. That he really is caught up with the Pelosi, Obama, you know, the whole circle up there, and he's forgotten about you guys. And so, if you can get somebody like Danny in there with this new energy that's gonna work for you, he'll turn it around. Right? We saw it in Alaska with Sarah. Sarah faced the same kind of criticisms going in, that she didn't have enough experience, and I'm talking about the gubernatorial race originally, and that she didn't have the experience, and she's running against these long-term DC senators, former governors, whatnot, and Sarah, you know, she kept her blinders on, looking straight ahead, didn't let any of that bother her, spoke from her heart always, used common sense, got up there and absolutely blew the incumbent away in the primary. He only got 19% of the vote. And then in the general election, she ran against a former popular 2-term governor, and easily defeated him also. And then when she got into office, and she put her I don't know, her mouth into action. Like, am I saying that right? You know what I mean? She fulfilled her promises, and more so. I mean, she kick-started projects that had been on the back burner for 30 years in Alaska immediately, and got the ball rolling, and put a clock up in her office on how many minutes or days and minutes were left in the administration, said we're going to get this done, we're going to get this done, and this boom, 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 and people saw it. And she didn't care what side of the aisle you were on. She wanted people working together for the same common goals to make our state as successful as it could be. And things were just turning around amazingly quickly. Her approval rating was in the upper 80s, which was unheard of. Highest in state history, and it was highest in the nation. And then she was tapped for the VP selection. And that's when the media storm started. And it was incredible. You guys saw it down here, but you should have seen it up there. It was, so I don't want to dwell on Sarah. I'm here for Dan and so Dad, so with my mom, and we're not trying to push any of Sarah's beliefs or policies onto the people that might put Dan into office. That's not our intention at all. Our intention is helping out a friend that we know is going to work hard and shares a lot of the same common beliefs that we do. We are concerned with Reed in such a powerful position. You know, I have young boys of my own, and I see just this massive amount of debt that's piling up, and program after program, you know, is being passed or is about to be passed, and now we got health care coming up, and I just keep pulling my hair out and saying, you know, where do they think this money is going to come from? You know, the government doesn't give anything to anybody without taking something away from somebody else. And I'm scared about it, and that's the reason that I want to see somebody like Danny get in there and start working for the people again, and governing or working with some common sense. And so anyway, that's the main reason that I'm here, and behind him 100%, and I hope you guys are too. Thank you.
Just like Chuck, he's been pulling his hair out too overall.
Yeah.
Anyways, hey, listen, I know you guys have waited here for a while. Of course, if you have any questions, whether it's to myself or to Heath, we're willing to take any questions now. Please feel free to do so.
Okay.
First of all, Norm is the guy who chaired one of the most successful Republican groups here in Las Vegas, and they had their meeting sure they had to move it because they got so big. But Norm Yeager, go ahead, Norm.
My only question is this. If you had the last 48 hours, does Sarah have any David Letterman jokes?
That's a good one.
I'm sure she's got a little smile on her.
You see how you pay back?
Yeah,
That's
pay back.
Okay, speaking about how both me and my ex, we have 8 years, we're both young, we have 97, and we both graduated college, I don't actually graduated with a master's, and he's having real problems to find a job, you know, any job to go on. My question is, what does it look like for a 1-year-old, you know, if you're 20 hours to find a job? What do you think about the whole, you know, Danny and Chuck?
I'll make a comment to start on that because it's really a good point. You know, what Harry Reid and the Democrat Party has done is they followed the Franklin Delano Roosevelt way to get out of the Great Depression. And for you that remember what happened, we never got out of the Great Depression until World War II. What they feel is, let's spend government money, taxpayer money, create government jobs, and for short term we're going to have the unemployment will go down a little bit, we'll have some economic activity, but when the job's over, what happens? It's over, there's nothing else to go. What we have proposed, and we mean the Republican Party, myself, and anybody who has a history, and understanding of the history of our country is, you need to invest in the private sector. If you give the private sector opportunities to succeed, you lower the tax rate for the small businesses, you give taxpayers for them to offer jobs. If they succeed, they stay in the jobs, they continue to stay in the jobs, and they expand. And then we have prosperity. Instead, what we've done is spend $800 billion trying to give the government the decisions to build whatever projects they want, including, if you can believe this, a bridge across the highway in Florida so the turtles can cross the road without any car signals. I mean, that's where we're spending our money, and it ends that way. So what does it do? We print more money, we're going to have higher inflation, devalue of the dollar, and in the long term we have no more jobs. Invest in the private. We've been the greatest economic success story in the history of society. Why? Free enterprise, competition, invest in the private sector. And until we get the Democrat majority out of office, you see more Franklin Delano Roosevelt, we're going to be stuck in that rut. I'm hoping that not only myself, but we get enough new elected Republicans in office in 2010, we can change this trend. See, I believe, and again, this goes a little much. My parents have all been educators, and their public education system is sacred. But again, if you go through and you look at what's made us a successful country, it's competition. When you put competition, you have better efficiency, you have lower costs. I think you got to improve our competition with the education system. I'm in favor of vouchers to allow people to go to private schools or charter schools. I'm in favor of charter schools. Look what they've done in Arizona. They create all these charter schools that are competing with the public school system, and the education system has improved tremendously. Right now, here in Nevada, we have one of the largest school districts in the country. The teachers union controls the school districts. I'll open this up and teach you here, but this is the fact. We have no competition, and without the competition, we just don't have that American spirit of ingenuity and creativity and stuff. I would like to create competition the charts.
All right.
Thank you very much for that. Thank you very much.
What are you going to do about us being repossessed or foreclosed on by China?
Well, that goes into what I mentioned about spending the money like we have a monopoly in the country. We keep printing more money, and we don't think there's any ramifications for it. I mean, we haven't seen the risk. I hate to be Mr. News right here, but we're trying to get out of this economic mess, and all we've done is print more money. We didn't put $1 trillion on the top, $800 billion on the bailout. And that's where you get to China now buying up all of our dollars. And what's China going to do with it? Just put yourself in China. One is, if they ever want to go to war with us, they need to shoot a war. They control our economy. Two is, if they got all this money, and they see that we continue to print more money, the dollar's going to be valued, what are they going to do? They're going to come in with all the money, buy it whatever they can, and it's going to, inflation is going to skyrocket. I mean, we're in a world of trouble. Our same principles are going here. You got to cut the spending. You got to cut the spending like that. And it goes right back to, are we going to get out of this mess by spending like we did during the Great Depression, or are we going to get out of this mess by investing in our soldiers, more jobs, and the private sector in the USA? You can't be a politician. Tell it like you feel, be honest. And I try to do that from the time I jumped into this race. And I was told when I got into this race, issues will not win the race for you, but issues will lose the race for you. I hope this issue doesn't lose the race for me, but I believe this is the best, this is the right approach for Nevada, okay? We spent billions and billions, hundreds of billions of dollars on Yucca Mountain. I don't want to see Yucca Mountain as our storage center of the world. I really don't. But I do believe that we can turn Yucca Mountain into a processing facility like they do in France and all these other countries, where we take the nuclear waste that's being generated, we process it, you get 90% more fuel from that. You create hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue for the state, thousands of jobs in the state. UNLV would be a research institution in the whole world for alternative energy. Now, it's the right thing to do. I've gone on the record to say so. My opponent, who announced yesterday, she wants to back off a little bit on it because the sentiment is this: if you're pro Yucca Mountain nuclear waste, you're going to lose votes. It's not the right thing to do. The right thing to do is to turn that into a job-creating, revenue-producing facility because you've already invested in it. Now, I hope that you guys will vote for me when it's all over and done. Now, I'll tell you what Harry Reid's going to do. There's going to be this girl jumping rope and hopscotching, and there's going to be a car driving by, and it's going to blow up, and nuclear waste is going to fly everywhere. They're going to say, this is what the anti-Tarkanian wants to do. Hey, but they are driving around the country right now with nuclear waste. There hasn't been an accident since the 70s. It's really not, there's no risk at all. At least it hasn't been. There's no one that's substantiated otherwise. It's a false fear mongering, which Harry Reid is going to call it, that he's going to try to scare people off on. It's the only thing he can claim the fame that's done for Nevada, right? What does he say? He stopped Yucca Mountain. But if he really cared about Yucca Mountain, this is getting back to your question. Create the thousands of jobs it can do. Create the millions of dollars in revenue. Make it a reprocessing plant that would be the envy of the world. It's all green energy, wonderful, out of our environment. It's the right thing to do. And I'm afraid we're really going to get killed in this commercial.
I was probably sure.
all, and I've been reading about you, and I like what you believe. What I want to know for sure though is, and I'm older than probably most of you here, except for maybe Mike. But I've seen so many politicians. We're going to get behind you. I know I am, and do everything that I can. If you need somebody to talk Spanish, you can talk Spanish in any language you want. But what I want to say is, can we depend on you to not become one of the regulars in Washington and go the other way after we send you there? I want to hear what you have to say. Because if you do, in a few years, I'll get on a plane and I'll go see you in Washington. I just want to know, I want to know from your words that you will stick by your beliefs no matter what happens.
If you ask anybody who's run for office, I'm going to say,
don't be an Olympia Snow.
The reason I want to get myself service is it's watching my mother what she had done. If you go into public service with the right idea, the right intent, do the right thing, you can do better for society than almost any other profession. I mean, people have motivated, some people are motivated by power, some people are motivated by money, some people are motivated by goals. I am motivated. I want to do something positive in my life. I have a fear. I'm bypassing it.
Yes. Oh yeah. I do it every day. And I don't need to. Are you Mark?
The second thing is
okay.
If anybody knows my family, they know one thing we do fight against all odds. Most of the time we're going to end up losing. A few times that we're going to be successful, we're going to make a big upset, we're going to create a big difference in our society.
Do you have your dad's stubbornness?
My dad
Oh, your mother's
yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, I want to say I've been since I was 18, exactly. And as much as I can't stand Terry Reid, because I feel like I was really Republican Party government, to be honest with you. Government is wrong, huge. Corruption is out of control. Spending is out of control. And I want it cleaned up. And not only that, but our borders. I want our borders secured. And I want to know if you'll be willing to go in there, not only be tough, but I also want to know if you're willing to be a retaliator.
You sound like you described the Democrat Party. The sad thing is with the Republicans in the last 6 years when they were in office, the lesson that we had to learn was it was 2 years ago there was a big debate. There was a lot of people, maybe some of you in here, they had to determine whether it was a local Republican that wasn't following the true Republican principles, or whether they were going for a Democrat, not going all about Democrats. So there was a good segment of people that said, I didn't agree with this at the time. I don't know the right answer, but a lot of people did. They were pro-Democrat or about Democrats to go in office by not voting. They felt they had to teach the Republican Party a lesson. Now, I hope the Republican Party's learned that lesson. I mean, that is that has made our party strong and great, and has controlled basically the government for a lot of years. And I will go back in there and fight those
my young friend over there, came here from New York. One of the first things I did when I was so I checked all the things. You know this nickname they call these rhinos? Maybe go for us, on to the right.
Yeah,
not all the way to the right, you're
I'm glad you asked that question because it's really amazing. Maybe because my mother's a Democrat. I mean, she's the black sheep of the family. We work with her. We're trying to keep her around. She won't budge at this point. But because of that, for whatever purpose, a lot of conservatives just don't think I share their values and views, which, if you ever listen to anything I ran on in my campaign, I ran for the state senate against a guy that voted for the largest tax increase in the history of our state. I ran against that tax increase. I ran for the Secretary of State, which required people to be really outside here. They wanted people to actually show a photo ID that they're actually the person they are when they vote. I mean, these are all conservative ideas, and I've been in favor of that. I've never been in favor of conservative idea or far left. But for whatever reason, there was something about there that I was right. I'm a very strong fiscal conservative, strong social conservative. In '92, when they came out with that amendment to prevent abortion, I did personally. I was coaching basketball, so my family team was still there. I went on TV and I argued strongly to not allow abortion. I've been on record of that. And we get through the campaign to see which candidates were in favor of not. My record was clear on that. I'm the biggest believer in fiscal constraint. And I'll give you my philosophy in 1 second, and it's something a little bit different. We keep hearing people talk about let's cut the expenses in each of our departments 10% or 20% across the board. I believe it's a little bit different. Government was created to do 3 or 4 or 5, whatever, whether it's local, state, or national government, a few things. It was created for a few things, not average, right? When my dad was coaching basketball, he used to say, I want to do 1 or 2 great things with my team. I don't want to do any more of that because they can't do it great. And if we ever played a team and tried to do 4 or 5 things, that's great because they can't do any of them well. But what have we done in our government? We have these limited purposes we were created for, but now we're trying to create 20, 30, 40, 50 different programs. Anytime there's a social deal and we have a new politician who comes to the office and says, I want to make a difference in life, I'm going to create a new social program. But once you create that new social program, you start funding it, that money either goes, we're going to tax people more, which is actually right, or we're going to take that money from the real purpose of that government was for, and we're going to dilute the effectiveness of that government. We need to get back to the 2 things that the government paid for, fund them fully, do them well, and get rid of all the other social I would love to take Eric. I asked him already, and but he did send out an email to all of his campaign people to come and we had a town hall debate, and I asked him to come some of it. But he sent an email blast to all of his campaign people. Funny now, the great the internet, you get see copies of all these things now. There's an email blast that said, go and Chief Danny Tark and Lester and ask him these tough questions. Well, I was there and I answered all of them, and I shut him down. He wasn't anywhere to be seen. He had another telephone conference one today. Yeah. But you can't ask any questions. He's going to screw you. I would love to debate Eric, but I don't think he will.
Yeah, I'd like to know what your stand is in cap and trade, and what are we going to do to start tapping our own energy resources and rest our dependence on Saudi Arabia.
There's a twofold thing that we should do. The first thing we should have done in the 70s when they were already the first energy crisis and started working on developing our information. If you remember back then, we had computers that were about the size of this room. Now we have the smallest computers at the cheapest price, and they do so much more stuff. Why is that? Because we invested in technology that gave a better deal. Well, in the 1970s, my mom had solar energy on her house. But we didn't invest it. We didn't try to improve it. And it's still now very expensive, still very cumbersome. We can't do it. My proposal, my suggestion, and what we should be doing is invest in the alternative energies, but not try to say that's what's going to carry us right now. We need to drill in, which is the last one. We need to be able to survive for the next whatever many years it is, while at the same time developing these alternative energies where they'll become cheap enough that they can replace it with our supply. It's not, I mean, it's a common sense deal. Why doesn't anybody do it? You know why? It's because you get the long-term politicians in office who will get big donations from especially interest. Why are we giving $22 billion in tax credits to gas oil companies right now?
Why are we allowing $580 million to a Danish electric car company when we're borrowing money from China?
Now, is that the one that is that this year's? That's the one. That's the one Al Gore has.
Al Gore's car company. Yeah.
That's about 89 grand. Isn't that amazing? I mean, there's a cars for $8,000. The biggest problem we have in our government right now is especially interest groups that are making decisions. That's why you need somebody new in here that's going to come in and not be committed to them. Anybody else have any other questions?
Yeah, I've got one question. So what do you feel about the wars? Do you support them or you don't support them?
That's a good question. That's a good question. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you here. And I was against the Iraq War when the Iraq War. I was one of the few friends of mine that are all Republicans that were against it. My feeling was this: we had a group, it was the Al-Qaeda, that came in and attacked our country. We knew where they were at. They were either in Afghanistan or in Pakistan. We allowed them to escape and get to those mountains. I believe we should have used every ounce of resources we had to go in and find those people, kill them, and destroy them. As long as Osama bin Laden lives, the feeling out there throughout the rest of the world is you can attack America, get away with it, and there's nothing they can do about it. We should have expended every single ounce of resource to get him first. Now, if we needed to go into Iraq, and I'm not sure if we did or not, that's open to debate. I mean, there are still good reasons to have Saddam out of it. But we should have done it after we took care of the Al-Qaeda issue in Pakistan. If you learn anything in history, Napoleon tried to fight two fronts and what happened? Germany tried to fight two fronts and what happened? What did we do when we went in Iraq? We left 18,000 men in Afghanistan to look for Obama, and we sent 180,000 men in Iraq. And we end up, in Iraq, it looks like it's going to be okay, we're going to find him, but we ignored what the real immediate, imminent problem was, and that was in Afghanistan. So my feeling is this: we should have gone to Iraq at the time, we should have taken care of Pakistan, we should have taken care of Afghanistan and Pakistan. Once we did, then there could have been a debate on whether or not it was true to go into Iraq and make a decision about it. Anybody else? Yes.
I'm a teacher. And I'm just wondering, as far as on education, will you listen to a classroom teacher and not the NEA and not the administrators and not all these other assholes who don't Will someone listen to a classroom teacher?
Of course, my sister's been a classroom teacher most of her life. My mother was most of her life. And it's funny, it's good to hear that a lot of the classroom teachers are in the powerful lobby.
Well, actually, literally, there's only 42% of the teachers in the NEA are Democrats, and the rest are not.
Let me ask you, how would you solve our education problem? Because here in Nevada, most of you know, we have one of the worst education systems in the country. What would you suggest to me?
Well, it's a real simple solution, and it's just put back discipline back in the schools, let teachers be respected, and have parents, parental involvement should not be considered, hiring an attorney. I've been doing it for 20 years. I've taught in alternative ed. I have spoke up, and I've been under a lot of pressure for it. And I've got a book coming out, not to plug the book, but I mean, and it talks just about what's going on and the problems. And the solutions are in the last chapter, and it's 2 pages long. I mean, it's that simple. I mean, if you could just start with discipline, having kids respect teachers, and focus on the drop-in rate, not the drop-out rate.
I might add that Chuck Jr. and I are both teachers. Chuck's an active teacher. I'm a retired teacher. So
basic question: is that true that the teachers union we make $1.2 million? Yeah. That's what I heard.
I don't know, but with respect to my opponent, he has stopped his second investigation even after his own state has indicted. Isn't that pretty ironic? Your own state, the Democrat Attorney General, the Democrat Secretary of State, they indict Acorn, and instead of investigating them in the Senate, our leader from Nevada said, no, we don't want to investigate them. Well, the Dallas Cowboy starting lineup was a good one. In November, too, we still playing football. they were, as you don't know, the Nevada, Dallas Cowboys started lining up who's registered to voters here in Nevada. But again, I already show photo ID. This is true story. My wife will be here. This is true. We walked door to door, and we went to 2 or 3 places where, you know how you have the name of the voters. You have a list of who voted before, and the voting history. You only walked to people who voted last election. At least 2 or 3 occasions, we walked the door, we knocked the door, we said, "You so and so," and they said yes. And we said, "Well, you know, I'm running for state senate, so and so." And they said, "Well, we're not even citizens. We never voted. Why would you come to my door?" And I said, "Well, you so and so." They said, "Yes." The records show they voted, but they say they're not even a citizen to vote. I don't believe illegal immigrants are voting. I really don't. I believe people that know illegal immigrants are going in and voting under their name. Because who's going to challenge them? You don't have to show a photo ID. You have to show nothing to people vote.
I think we should.
We know at least 2 or 3 of them, because we went door to door to state senate.
That photo ID is a good idea, because anybody can vote.
Voted me down last time. Don't let them vote me down this time.
Don't forget though, real quickly, I know Dean's already gone around to get everyone's information, but Dean, this is Dean right here. If you didn't sign in, please do. We would love to keep in contact with you. Okay, here's Dean. He's got bumper stickers too, and can request anything else. So,
one question here, General importance, General He's asked for 40,000 since he has asked for it, I think we've got about 5 people ready to die. While the administration was so. What do you think about that?
If I understood it correctly, you asked about the request for more troops in Afghanistan. And again, I am all in favor of getting as much troops as is needed in there and finishing the job. You can't let a person or an organization come into America and destroy the 2 largest buildings in the country, or 2 of the largest, kill all the people they did, and get away with it. You just can't allow that to happen. And it's still going on in Afghanistan. We made a mistake by diverting our attention. If we need 40,000 troops, 100,000 troops, we got to finish the job, is what I'm saying.
Okay, one of the part of that, I know in Vietnam, one of the big problems there was a refuge and then pulled back into.
I would go right in Pakistan. I'd go right in Pakistan.
So now we have Pakistan.
I'd go right in Pakistan. I'd go right to Pakistan and find them, and they'd have to understand this is what it is. You know, it's not. We're not talking about Vietnam when we went into the war there. We're talking about a group that came in. They hijacked our planes, flew in our buildings, and killed thousands of people. You go wherever they're at. What did Bush say? Bush was when he first made his commitment. My dad is very non-political. He listened to Bush. We're going to find them wherever they're at. We'll chase them down. We're going to get them. If you're not for us, you're our enemy. Well, we need to find them. We need to get them.
We haven't done that.
No, we have. Well, you know, we spent 7-8 years in Iraq instead.
Are you talking about nation building or just a focus?
I'm talking about just Al Qaeda and Osama bin Laden.
And then leave.
Well, yeah, you don't want to leave it completely barren, but you got to make sure that the military that's there can take over and get the heck out of it. Absolutely. I'm not talking about nation building. I'm not even. I don't believe you can allow the country can allow an organization to come in and kill people on our soil and can get away with it.
I agree with you. It's a wonderful statement. So few are speaking.
And again, it may lose me some votes, but that's the.
One more question. What is your feeling on all of these aliens coming in? What is your feeling on how we should handle that? If we should kick them out, or we should tax them, or what?
And that's a great question. And it's a simple answer. And the politicians will give you the simple answer. The simple answer is, one, you need to protect your borders better. Everybody's talking about that. Okay, let's do that. Whether it's building a fence or whatever else. More importantly, why are they coming here? Jobs, healthcare, education. If you eliminate the incentives to come here, they're not going to come here. Those employers that are hiring illegal immigrants to save money and actually are screwing the American workers by hiring somebody that's illegal and don't pay them money, you got to penalize them. You got to go after them. I don't believe we should be providing anything but immediate emergency health care to people that aren't citizens. If they're an illegal immigrant and they're going to die and they need emergency services, being a benevolent country, you have to provide that. But anything over and above that, you should. And once you give them the treatment, you should send them back home. I mean, it's a common sense approach. And if we need more, the argument why we wanted the illegal immigrants in the country was because we needed them to work these jobs. Well, then why don't we just change immigration policy and create work cards for these people? It's so common sense. But why doesn't our politicians do it? And the reason is it's not hard to understand. It's all the special interest group, the money that they have, and what they want to do. You know, God bless our biggest industry here, our gaming industry. It pays most of our taxes, and we really do need to support them. But they're in favor of all of these laws that allow illegal immigrants to come work here because they want to hire them for the cheap labor. But when they do that, they're taken away from everybody else who lives in our state who wants to earn a fair wage. And it's not right. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
First of all,
he wasn't lying, that's for sure.
He was lying. Just read the bill and it is in there because you don't have to check for what citizenship you are to get Medicaid. Second one though is, I'm not sure where this bill is, if it's already passed or not, but I understand there's a bill out there that makes us report all of our weapons, $50 fee for every weapon, and if we don't report it, we find out we could be arrested, a year in jail just like you don't have health insurance, and a number of other things. Your comments.
I mean, again, infringement on the Second Amendment, and I would be strongly against that. I would vote against that bill. I'm not familiar with that bill out there. I would expect it to be voted down, particularly in election year. You don't screw with the NRA.
Good point.
Let me just say something real quick about health care before we get off. We can do 4 things in health care and reduce our health care costs dramatically and not spend $1 from the federal government. Allow people to purchase insurance across state lines. If you allow them to do that, you create more competition, which is going to create better efficiency and lower costs. Cap the non-economic damages with tort reform. You cap the non-economic damages with tort reform, you stop the $210 billion a year that's spent on preventive medicine doctors on. If you make sure Medicare is a payee of last resort, which is supposed to be under federal law. Currently 13% of all Medicare recipients have other insurance, and we don't make the other insurance pay for it. And fourth, if we eliminate all these mandates the states make us have an insurance policy, we can save up to 20 to 50% of insurance premiums. Mandates are things that the state requires us to carry an insurance policy whether we want them or not. It costs us 20 to 50% of insurance policy premiums. You do those 4 things, we're going to reduce the cost. You don't even have to have 52 new advisory committees, which the Democrats want to have. And the last thing is this: if you want to have real reform in health care, create more opportunities for affordable health insurance, but you can take insurance from job to job. You can do that by creating more opportunities for these health savings accounts and giving the people who buy their own insurance the same tax rates you give employers. You can solve all those health care issues already with those 5 things. And how many times have you heard any Democrats discuss that? Not once.
You're going to have a Zarro you're going to watch?
Yeah, my wife.
She's the boss.
She's the boss.
Where do you understand exactly when it comes to the tax rebate? Because we care a lot about fair tax and flat tax and value added.
First of all, we don't earn a single dollar from our employment until the middle of September, middle of August. That's 8.5 months we're working to pay taxes. Isn't that a little expensive?
I think so.
I'm certainly not in favor of more taxes. I believe we need to cut the taxes. But I'm going to tell you something I really like, and this is a little bit of an out there policy, and I jump on Governor Huckabee with this. It's the fair tax. Fair tax. I get that mixed up. You know, if you make people pay taxes when they purchase products, the people that buy more products are using more of those products, pay more taxes. You eliminate the people that are working and get paid in cash and aren't disclosed. You get rid of the IRS. You lose all those jobs. You don't have to file taxes. To me, it seems like a hell of an idea. And I don't know why we don't look at it better. And I know there's a lot of people against it, but the more I look into it, the more I think that's the approach to go. It's a fairer approach.
I think it's way everybody pays taxes.
Everybody pays taxes who consumes products. And the more you want to consume and spend,
I think everybody would have to pay taxes. Everybody.
Even the illegal aliens
I know we've been here a long time. Any other questions? So I want to thank you guys. Let me say I want to thank the Heath for coming out. Thank you guys for waiting.
Hey, Jen, you guys gonna stick around for a while?